Yes, and hello once again. I'm Max Ratt, and welcome to the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. Yeah, so it's May 22nd, 2013, and I'm here live from the Rat Hole, New York City, and I got another show for you this evening. First of all, I'd like to say that my last show on the global power structure was received very nicely, and I'm kind of got a lot of compliments on that, so I'm very happy about that. So tonight's show, you know what, I saw this a couple of news clips about the wild horses out of America, and I was like, well, what's up going on with the wild horses? And so I kind of looked into it a little bit, and I noticed that it's another mind control, suggestive programming, if you will, for the sheeple to digest and to manipulate your thoughts. And I thought it was a great example of to show you how your thoughts are being manipulated. So on that note, I'm going to start this show, and I'm going to talk about wild horses, and I guess this show is going to be called The Wild Horse Metaphor, and it's an inquiry into thought manipulation and subliminal suggestion, if you will. So, having said that, we're going to get going with the show. Welcome aboard the Max Ratt News Hour and the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone, if you will. Max Ratt, thanks for coming aboard. Let's rock it, the show. Here we go.
They are American icons, symbols of the boundless spirit of the Wild West, treasured by many who live near them.
Okay, so wild horses are the the icon of freedom in America.
You know, as I say to people, if you believe in positive change for America, start with the defense of this noble symbol of freedom. It's a symbol that belongs to all of us, and it's a symbol that embodies many of our ideals. It's the American wild horse.
American wild horse embodies our ideals.
Americans love freedom. These horses are the embodiment of freedom.
Okay, so that's Carole King, the famous singer, songwriter, and she said, again, she's using the same word, embodiment. So the wild horse embodies the freedom of the free American, and that's what I'm going to get into on this show today. Is that I think that the wild horse is a metaphor. It represents the free American, and we're gonna so what they're gonna do is try to manipulate your thoughts. You see, so what happens is people are going to look at this and say, well, yeah, I feel like I love horses, and I feel like a wild horse. Yes, the wild horse does embody. It's an embodiment of me. You know, I'm free. I'm a free American. So. And then they're going to manipulate you into thinking, okay, how you're going to be manipulated and treated now because you think you're a wild horse. And then if you notice, just keep in mind that in this last Carole King clip, you'll notice that there was a helicopter sound in the background right after she says the embodiment of freedom. So let me play that again so you'll hear it.
Americans love freedom. These horses are the embodiment of freedom.
Okay, the embodiment of freedom, with the helicopter, and just keep that in mind. We're going to get back to that in the show. Keep it going.
You see a news show, you watch 60 Minutes or a Fox program or whatever it is, you tend to give more credibility to what you're told is journalism. If an advertisement comes on, hopefully you tend to be more skeptical of that because obviously somebody put an awful lot of money into crafting this slick TV ad and airing it. But what you probably never suspect is that that news story you just watched was also crafted by a company given to the TV station or network with the understanding that they would put their own logos on it, identify it as real journalism, and air it.
There you go. So what this guy's telling you is that and what I've been trying to discuss in my show over and over is that the news is constructed by very clever and very capable advertisers. Okay, and they're manipulating your thoughts and how to how to guide you into thinking certain things, and just like they do with a product that they're trying to sell you. Keep it going.
Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So if you want the truth, go to God. Go to your gurus. Go to yourselves. Because that's the only place you're ever going to find any real truth. But man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell.
Yeah, there you go. And television is not the truth. And what they're doing is using the power of the medium of television, which is the most powerful force on earth as far as propaganda and manipulating you goes. Because so many people are worshiping the TV and sitting home at night or whenever watching television. So television's not the truth. And then, so now let's keep it going.
And the wild horses are like the canary in the coal mine out there. They're this symbol of freedom.
Right, so the wild horses are the canary in the coal mine, which is an indicator that like the canary in the coal mine is a preemptive indicator of a problem with the gases that are toxic gases in the coal mine. So what he's telling you is that yes, the wild horses, this metaphor is the canary in the coal mine. Interesting. Keep it going.
Who tipped you off to the story, Dave Phillips?
I was in the middle of the desert in Nevada, and a very smart wild horse advocate named Laura Lee said to me, you know...
Okay, so Amy Goodman on Democracy Now!, which a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, Amy Goodman's she's righteous, she's telling you the truth. And so she's got a clown on there, which they gave a whole show about, who tells you that, she says, well, who tipped you up to the story? He's like, well, I was standing in the desert in Nevada. First of all, horses don't live in the desert anyway, but what did he do? He was just standing there, and he just heard somebody's like, yeah, you know, did I tell you about this wild horse situation? So he said, yeah, that tipped him off. So, but what were you doing in the desert to begin with? Okay, hold on.
Who tipped you off to the story, Dave Phillips?
I was in the middle of the desert in Nevada, and a very smart wild horse advocate named Laura Lee said to me, you know...
Right, she was just standing next to him in the desert, and she walked up and says, hey, I'm a smart horse advocate, and, this and that, and all I'm showing you with this clip is that this is they're already tipping you off that it's a nonsensical, ridiculous propaganda story that is going to be used to manipulate your putty brain. Keep it going.
There are now more wild horses in captivity than living in the wild. What do you think of that?
Shouldn't there be more wild horses than captive horses? Isn't that what America's about?
Is the kind of anti-social misinformation that our citizens are being forced to listen to thanks to this savage.
Right, that was a clip from, that was Carole King telling, she's like, yeah, shouldn't there be more wild horses and captive horses? Again, that's just to manipulate your thoughts. You'll be like, yeah, I agree with that. And then that was from a clip from Brave New World, where he's going to say, yeah,
Is the kind of anti-social misinformation that our citizens are being forced to listen to thanks to this savage.
Right, so the savages are telling you this antisocial information, like captive, like wild horses should not be captive. Keep it going on that note.
The wild horses are not receiving a fair shake.
More of a clip from the news, and he's like, the wild horses aren't receiving a fair shake, okay? Because the wild horses, don't forget, are the embodiment of the free American. They're not receiving a wild shake right now. They're not receiving a fair shake right now.
BLM acknowledges that in virtually every wild horse management area, livestock is allocated more forage than the horses.
Okay, so livestock, which are the cattle, okay, quote unquote, or the sheep, okay, they're allocated more forage and more access to food and things like that than the wild horses are. Okay, so now what they're going to try to do here now is try to associate yourself with the embodiment of freedom, which is the wild horse, if you think you're free, then you're going to be like, well, yeah, but you're infringing on the cattle's or the foraging, or the cattle is infringing on your foraging. So that's a technique to make you to start getting you to have a conflict with the cattle, because you're free and they're cattle. So we are going to try to stoke a conflict between the wild horses and the cattle. Okay, it's all about keeping you fighting with each other while the powers that be rip your stupid slave ass off. Okay, that's how it works. Let's move on. Moving on from there.
The new American would not interpret events from what Creel called a class or sectional standpoint, but rather as a unified collective. In this manner, the people could be herded into one white-hot mass instinct.
The new American will be herded into a mass instinct. Keep that in mind.
It's not that we have anything against the horses. We just want it to be a managed herd.
Well, we got nothing against the wild horses. We just need you to be managed like a herd. Herd of cattle, and turn you into. But you're not. But you're supposed to be wild. You don't want to be managed like in a herd. But well, that's the problem here.
Of all the federal programs the Bureau of Land Management is responsible for, capturing wild horses may be the most controversial. Some people say the horses need to be managed. Others say let them be free.
Okay, so the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM, as it will be referred to in this show, is basically the government, or even further than that, the United Nations world government. Okay, they are managing these herds, and they need to manage you better. Period. Your slave ass needs to be managed better.
There's definitely a place for the horses, but the management of them is the problem.
Right, there's a place for your wild, free horse ass, but you need to be managed better. That's the problem. Okay, see, you can't. You got to be under the control. Again, this is all to subliminally and to condition you for tyranny.
America's wild horses are being managed to extinction by our federal government.
Oh, we're being, and that's to make you a little bit scared and feel a little. So you're right again, to stoke conflict. So you will be manipulated. Your thoughts will be manipulated accordingly. Keep it going.
The modern world is too complex to allow the man or woman in the street to interfere in its management.
Right, the powers that be. That was from Brave New World. Also, the modern world is too stupid to get involved in their own management. So you need to be managed. Okay, so you're not a free wild horse anymore. You're a cattle sheep now.
Okay, class. Today we are going to talk about subliminal advertising.
What's that?
What's that? I wonder what that is. Okay. There we go. It's where you see we're subliminally manipulating you, and you're like, "What's that?" I don't even know what subliminal manipulation is.
Wild, wild, wild horses. We will ride them someday.
Okay, and that's interesting to me because it's an old Stone song, "Wild Horses," which everybody knows. Great song, by the way. But it's interesting how they say we'll ride them someday, in a way they will be tamed some way, and I wonder did the Stones know that when they wrote the song? It's very possible. Stones are very in with the power structure. Can't say that for sure, but we're gonna ride the wild horses someday. In other words, they're not gonna be wild anymore. There you go. Let's keep it going.
Who's gonna ride the wild horses?
Okay, U2, which is Bono, who's a total globalist criminal, is saying who's going to ride the wild horses. Okay.
Wanna run with the wild horses, run with the wild horses.
Okay, so then there's this beautiful girl, I forgot her name, but she's like, I'm going to run with the wild horses, like, that's going to make you feel good, like, yes, I'm this beautiful girl, we're wild together. But U2 and Bush, not George Bush, but Bush the band. They both want to ride the wild horses. She's running with the wild horses. She's like, yeah, I'm free and I'm running with the wild horses.
Wanna run with the wild horses. Run with the wild horses.
Beautiful.
After the wars, when society was reformed, there were still factions who refused to be part of the world government. These fringe groups now inhabit the reservation, clinging to the borders of civilized society at the edges of the great wilderness. While we have advanced, these savages retain their primitive way of life.
Yes, the wild horses on the edges of civilization are maintaining their criminal. You know, they're not civilized like the slaves are, so or controlled by the slaves are. So they're the fringe element, and that was from Brave New World again. A very prophetic. It's a book, Brave New World, but that's from the movie. But it's all about conditioning your slave ass and about getting used to tyranny and used to the new freedom, which is basically called slavery, just like George Orwell told you. And I'll have that clip for you later in the show.
Are we terrible people?
Nah, we're not terrible people, Lois. Horses are terrible people.
Yes, there you go. And the Family Guy. Horses are terrible people, and wild horses are terrible people, or the terrible, are the threat to the cattle and to the power structure, if you will. Now, of course, whenever we talk about the global power structure, of course, we have to talk about population reduction because they're obsessed with that. As you know, Bill Gates, in my last show, Bill Gates and David Rockefeller and Ted Turner, they're all very interested. So, you know, we need to do, of course, we need to reduce this population of the wild horses who think they're free. They need to be culled. That herd needs to be culled.
To just reduce the population level so that the remainder of the animals will have plenty of forage and water to survive.
A previous effort to hold population down hasn't had time to kick in. Last February, the BLM gave birth control drugs to most of the mares.
Right, so the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, which is the global power structure, United Nations government, is or the United States government, which is as you saw in the last show, also Obama was actually kissing the Queen of England's ass. So, like as you know already, the BLM our government is really part of the global government that is being rammed down our throats right now from the elite tyrannical criminals who are running the UN and other agencies who think they're going to enslave all of mankind. And so now we need to reduce their power. We need to reduce their population. And let's just keep that moving.
By the way, the BLM is also looking into sterilizing horses to try and control that population.
Right, we need to control the wild horse population.
The cattle industry urges more aggressive use of birth control on the horses.
Right, we're using birth control on horses, on wild horses, which is very interesting to me. And the cattle industry, which is those who run the cattle, who are the Bureau of Land Management or the global power structure, you're the cattle. And the cattle industry wants to reduce the population of the wild horses, as well as to reduce the population of the cattle. So there you go. Again, there's always an obsession. Anytime you see population growth or reduction or depopulation, you'll always know that there's a Rockefeller-backed eugenics-based murdering group behind that.
They were overpopulated. They could spend a fraction of what they spend on roundups by giving them birth control.
Right, so Carole King is like, well, we could always reuse birth. We could always depopulate so Carole King is down with the program too, or at least reading the script that they asked her to read. Probably so she can still continue to sell records without being disturbed. Keep it going.
Unless nations will agree to work together to tackle these cross-border challenges posed by population growth, overconsumption of resources.
Right, well, David Rockefeller, D-Rock, is saying, you know, we got population control is a definite problem for him and a definite issue with him. I mean, not an obsession with him, and so we need to control the population of the wild horses.
If we stopped gathering animals, the population would continue to grow and grow and grow, and the rangelands would continue to be overgrazed.
Okay, if we stop gathering animals is a euphemism for incarcerating or rounding up the wild horse population. She's going to say gathering, which is a euphemism.
If we stopped gathering animals, the population would continue to grow and grow and grow, and the rangelands would continue to be overgrazed.
Right, and this is a BLM or Bureau of Land Management representative named Guilfoyle. I forgot her first name, but she's a twisted role player who reads her script and will tell you that, you know, we've got to control these populations and reduce their populations and population control.
If we stopped gathering animals, the population would continue to grow and grow and grow, and the rangelands would continue to be overgrazed.
Right, and we're going to run out of resources because the wild horses are taking too much of our resources, the resources that are controlled by the global government.
Why so many horses?
Well, these animals have no natural predators out there. They do double their population every 4 years. We have too many of them out there for the numbers that we feel are appropriate.
Too many of them out there for the numbers we feel are appropriate. Whoever we are, we feel we feel your numbers are inappropriate, and we're going to cull your herd. Keep it going. Here's Ted Turner, of course, our buddy, who is very concerned with.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people.
Too many wild horses, man. Too many people.
BLM says there are too many wild horses and that it must manage the land for multiple uses, including livestock.
Too many people, too many wild horses. I'm telling you.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people.
Too many dang people, man. Ted Turner, and Ted Turner's a very got loads of integrity, and he's very reputable. He's not a crazy murdering maniac. No. If you listen to my last show, why would you ever think that?
BLM says there are too many wild horses and that it must manage the land for multiple uses, including livestock.
Too many wild horses.
The recent UN meeting in Cairo is appropriately focused on one of these key issues, population growth.
David Rockefeller, he's very concerned with population growth, especially with the wild horses.
The purpose of the program is to have the right number of animals, these precious icons of our American history, out there on the western rangelands in the right numbers.
The right number of animals in the right numbers. And that's the lady from the Bureau of Land Management. And yes, they're very concerned with your numbers, and we need the right numbers, whatever that is. That sounds very eugenicist, racist, if you will, to me. And I'm sure it's intended that way, considering that she's a mouthpiece for the eugenicist global power cabal who's providing these and producing these subliminal manipulation stories that are for your slave cattle sheep consumption.
Genetic tests have been done on a lot of these horses, and wild horses are a mix of anything that ever got away from anybody. You know, it could be a draft horse that pulled a wagon, it could be a cavalry horse, you name it. But these horses have a lot of old blood in them.
Genetics, geneticist, old blood, this is where eugenics comes in. The root is the same of those words, eugenics and genetics, and yes, the genetic makeup, a lot of old blood in these wild horses, but we need to cull that herd and to continue to depopulate them. Play that one again, and then I'll play you a clip from...
Genetic tests have been done on a lot of these horses, and wild horses are a mix of anything that ever got away from anybody. You know, it could be a draft horse that pulled a wagon, it could be a cavalry horse, you name it. But these horses have a lot of old blood in them.
There you go. These horses have a lot of old blood in them, and we did genetic tests on them, and we're going to need to genetically, I'm not sure if they're the proper genetics for the Aryan race that we're trying to propagate here. And oh, did I say that, Aryan race? Oh, sorry, I meant the preferred genetic type that we prefer to have the right numbers of.
Each of us is genetically designed to fit perfectly into our place in society.
From Brave New World, we're genetically, we're going to have to genetically design people. That's in Brave New World, which is the future. At that point, they're going to be genetically designed for their place in society. Interesting how it ties into the genetically tested wild horses.
Each of us is genetically designed to fit perfectly into our place in society.
Very interesting how that comes together like that, and let's keep it going with the wild horse clips.
As I said before, they have a different digestive system. They're not...
Okay, so here's a twisted again, and just please listen carefully to this guy, okay? So, and we'll go over it in depth, but he's going to give you the science about wild horses, okay? This is, it's very interesting, but people. So what this is going to do is to play into the person who relates himself as free and American as wild horse. They also are going to try to play into that person's possible, maybe a little bit of a racist or a racist view, or even put a racist view into that group. In other words, if you're a freedom lover, you're a racist, okay? And I think that's to stoke this subliminal conflict between the cattle and between just everybody, okay? And that's how these things are set up to work. And this is all subliminal suggestion to get you to question the racial. Well, you just listen to what he says, and then this will tie it together for you.
Not a ruminant. They're what they call a post-gastric or a cecal.
Let me start that
again.
As
I said before, they have a different digestive system. They're not a ruminant. They're what they call a post-gastric or a cecal digester.
Okay, so wild horses have a different digestive system than cattle and sheep.
Consequently, their droppings are not as degraded, and they really build the soils. They contribute to the humus.
Right, so the droppings of the wild horse are building the soil where they're not as degraded as the cattle and sheep droppings. Okay, so they build the soil where the cattle and sheep are as you'll see what the scientists will tell you here.
Yeah, which makes them more absorptive of water and more nutrient rich.
And you note in your book, too, their teeth are different, right? Their teeth are different from cattle.
Ooh, a racial difference. The teeth are different in the cattle. Okay, get it?
Yeah, they have upper and lower teeth. They have
I'm sorry, the teeth are different in the wild horses, okay? Yeah, let's listen.
Upper incisors, and they're able to prune vegetation, whereas the deer and the cattle, the bovids, sheep, they don't have the upper incisors, so they sort of shear grass and vegetation. They wrap their tongue around it, but consequently a lot of it is just ripped up by the roots. Whereas
okay, so the cattle and the bovines, or if you will, are shearing, or like shearing means you should shear somebody's money or shear somebody's wool. You're shearing the forage, okay? Whereas the wild horses are really more pruning, okay? They're not shearing, okay? You see, the cattle are shearing, the wild horses are pruning, okay? It's because of their racial difference with their teeth. You get it? You see? See, this is very interesting science that we're being taught here by the manipulative criminal media.
The horse can, precisely prune
So a horse can precisely prune. Let me get that one again, because that one's twisted. We need to play that again.
As I said before, they have a different digestive system. They're not a ruminant. They're what they call a post-gastric or a cecal digester. Consequently, their droppings are not as degraded, and they really build the soils. They contribute to the humus content, which makes them more absorptive of water and more nutrient-rich.
And you note in your book, too, their teeth are different, right? The teeth are different from cattle.
Yeah, they have upper and lower teeth. They have upper incisors, and they're able to prune vegetation, whereas the deer and the cattle, the bovids, sheep, they don't have the upper incisors. So they sort of shear grass and vegetation. They wrap their tongue around it, but consequently, a lot of it is just ripped up by the roots, whereas the horse can't.
The cattle are ripping up the food by the roots, ripping up by the roots, where the cattle, the wild horses are pruning.
And, precisely prune.
Okay, they're precisely pruning the wild horses.
And if you believe it, you are one of the stupidest jerks that ever lived on the face of this earth.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but there you go.
Shut up already. It's science.
Science, man. What are you talking about? You must be a stupid jerk.
So that puts the species of modern horse back of almost 2 million years in North America. And that Equus lambi was all over the place in North America. So the genus Equus evolved here, and all the other dozens of genera evolved in North America.
Okay, and one thing that I'd like to point out on that little clip is that this guy is not even American. He says America. Okay, that's some sort of a. If I had to guess, he sounds almost like maybe Swedish or Scandinavian or something like that. He says America, like America. America, okay, and that's so basically the guy who they're getting to give you this garbage bullshit is not even an American, because frankly it probably isn't as easy to find Americans who are willing to get down with these nefarious interviews and information of informants of the American people. Let me just play that again, and we'll keep it going.
So that puts the species.
And he's going to tell you that that the wild horses have been here longer. The genus of their species have been here longer than the cattle, and so America, okay, however he says it. So that's going to stoke again a conflict between the cattle and we were here first, and you were here first, and we, our genus of species has been here first. Again, getting into a genetics eugenicist type of vibe here, and let's play. That's the way that they're trying to manipulate your thoughts in this section. Let's keep it going.
So that puts the species of modern horse back of almost 2 million years in North America. And that Equus lambi was all over the place in North America. So
North America.
The genus Equus evolved here, and all the other dozens of genera evolved in North America.
Sure did involve science. And keep that going.
But by far and away, I can't name another group that is more deeply rooted or that has a longer duration of time and development and evolution than the horse family. And that's all of
the argument's relevant because the people who don't want the horses here say, oh, these are invasive species, they don't belong here. So a couple thousand horses are unwelcome on millions of acres of public land, but millions of cattle and sheep are welcome. I don't remember any stories about wild herds of prehistoric cattle roaming North America.
No, the bovids are recent.
Science! Yeah, and so the interviewer chimes in and says, yeah, I don't remember any cattle being here. This is wild horse country forever, and now the cattle are encroaching on the wild horse land. And they have the nerve to say something about that. That's science, man.
Science!
And then, so you listen to my man again. Now he's going to talk about some real science about the Ice Age and about how we were here first, and the wild horses were here first, and the cattle. Again, it's just all about over depopulation and and this is also has to do with immigration and this is all stoking these thoughts and stuff but you're not really realizing it because in general most people don't realize it because they're getting caught up in like I'm a whore I'm the embodiment of a wild horse and it's a way to manipulate you with that subconsciously, if you will. And let's just keep it going from there.
They more recently went over the Bering Strait when the Ice Age prevailed and the ocean levels were lower, and then they spread throughout the Old World.
Okay, the Ice Age prevailed and the ocean levels were lower because
science.
Because that's okay. So that's a global warming thing where they're saying, well, you know, when there weren't so many cattle and people on the world making the global warming, the ocean levels were lower, and that's how the cattle migrated to the United States because they walked across the ice during the Ice Age. I guess that's what he means, but if you want to like to believe that.
They more recently went over the Bering Strait when the Ice Age prevailed and the ocean levels were lower, and then they spread throughout the Old World.
There you go.
Science!
And keep it going.
Before the wars, men and women would match up their own DNA. Then anything could happen. It was very dangerous. The children belonged to them, like objects. They didn't value freedom like we do today. It was called family. We've come a long way since then.
Right, so in Brave New World, they're saying that, you know, they don't have families anymore because the children are made in test tubes, and before the wars, by the way. So they're implying that there will be a big wars that will bring us into this futuristic scenario where there are no more families and children are not, and the parents have the gall to think that those children are theirs. No, in the new world, the new future world, the children are owned by the state, okay, and controlled by the state, and you're not a parent. There are no such thing as parents anymore, or families, okay. That's the new utopian world that is frankly, I mean, it sounds crazy, but when you really compare what's going on and what they're telling you, it certainly feeds into these two books, basically Brave New World in 1984, and I used them both in this show.
Every dollar we invested to map the human genome returned $140 to our economy. Every dollar. Today, our scientists are mapping the human brain.
There you go. Science, man.
Science!
Now we are mapping, you know, Obama's like, we're mapping the human brain, man. And let's just keep it going from there. That's science, man.
Science!
Okay, and I'll keep it going from there.
One of the reasons you're considering them excess is that you have sheep and cattle also on those lands.
Yeah, so there's sheep and cattle on the wild horse, so that's why we consider the horses excess.
I was really shocked to see how the livestock, particularly the cattle, would camp on the riparian areas. And then what particularly bothered me was how officials would blame wild horses, which was a big lie. The horses would come in very neatly, tank up, and leave along their neat little trails, whereas it would be the cattle that would camp on them.
All right, so the horses would be neat, and their nutrient-rich droppings would be there, and this maniac, okay, is telling you that, but the cattle camp out on the riparian. I had to look up that word. Riparian means waterside or land close to water, so the riparian lands, okay. And the cattle the horses were cool, man. The horses were just going, the wild horses would take care of their business and move on, but the cattle were camping out on the riparian lands, okay? And so if you're a wild horse, then you need to be very worried about the cattle encroaching on your land, man. And then you're being rounded up, not them. That's messed up. So you better start pointing your finger at the cattle and not at the criminal BLM who's running this whole scam.
I mean, is this some kind of incredible joke that people are so stupid they'll fall for this?
That's a good question, but if you'd like to check, I don't know.
I mean, is this some kind of incredible joke that people are so stupid they'll fall for this?
I'm thinking that they might be falling for this. Here we go.
I mean, the buffalo is closely related to the cow, but they came over much more recently.
Yeah, they came over more recently than the old school wild horses, man.
Horse activists argue, though, horses were here first.
Yes, they do. That's what they argue.
Science!
Horse activists claim that they've been here first, man. And there you go.
I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you. This is not classroom theory. I saw it happen.
Yeah, so they're dividing people and divide and conquer, and that was from a clip from I think the movie was called Divide and Conquer, and they're going to get the people to fight with each other while the Nazis take over and with a totalitarian dictatorship, and that's what's going on here, and that's what this whole story is about, folks.
BLM acknowledges that in virtually every wild horse management area, livestock is allocated more forage than the horses.
Right, so if you're associating yourself with the horses, and then you're gonna be like, the livestock, man, they get more. They're always out. Why is the BLM always allocating more? Why is the government always allocating more resources to the cattle, man? What's up, man? I've been here first. I'm a wild horse.
The new American would not interpret events from what Creel called a class or sectional standpoint, but rather as a unified collective. In this manner, the people could be herded into one white-hot mass instinct.
Yep.
Subliminal messages.
Subliminal messages coming all over the place at you.
So we need to take a strong stand on this and preserve this incredible noble creature that made us who we are.
Made us who we are, the wild horse, and Alicia Keys going to ride him someday.
The values that make us who we are as Americans.
Who we are, man. That's who we are. We're wild horses.
Life does go on. That you've lost your limb, but you haven't lost your life. You haven't lost your spirit. This is who we are.
Mm-hmm. This is who we are. That's a meme. It's called a meme. And who we are. This is who we are, man. We're wild horses. It's who we are as Americans. And if you lost your limb, that was a clip from my Boston bombing show, where he's like, if you lost your limb, you know, that's who we are. We fight. We don't need a limb. We lose our limb, we still come back and strong. You know, we're the wild horses. That's who we are, man.
This is one of the greatest symbols we have of freedom in this country. This is the horse that made us who we are. This is the horse that we rode in on.
It's the horse we rode in on. It's who we are, man. It's who we are. We are the wild horses. It's the horse we rode in on.
Make your own destiny. No one else can tell you who you are.
Well, that's from Brave New World. Make your own destiny. Don't let anybody else tell you who you are, man.
This is one of the greatest symbols we have of freedom in this country. This is the horse that made us who we are. This is the horse that we rode in on.
The horse we rode in on, man. It's who we are, man.
Howdy, new neighbors. Pleased to welcome you.
We're the Lynches. We live next door. Nice to meet you. We're the Griffins.
Nellie here's a homemaker, and I'm a queer chaser and beater.
Lois, I'm not sure this is the right place for us. These Texans are socially backward.
Right, you got to be careful with Texans, and they're socially backward. And he's like, I'm a horse, I'm a queer chaser and beater.
You know, if you'd have told me 20 years ago, I'd see children walking the streets of our Texas towns with green hair, bones in their noses, I just flat out wouldn't have believed you.
Right, so Texas has got a mindset of being free and very Americana, and so there's always going to be propaganda throughout all media to bash that Texas mindset and way of life, because they are they represent the wild horses who everybody who the cattle need to forage their land and things like that, and this is just a continued way to get the people to divide the people, to get them to fight amongst each other, and make them sound like very like hillbilly and Bible Belt and stuff like that. So because that's for the Northeasterners to hate upon, to divide them again. Because when we divide the people, then we will be conquered much easier.
Horses couldn't drive me
Wild horses couldn't drive. That was that was the bossa nova version of Wild Horses, but and it's kind of a cool version. But I'm starting to wonder about this, because so many people have redone this song, and it's kind of whether or not the Stones intended upon that, or it's just being used like that now, is a good question. But it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. Keep it going.
But isn't it your job to also advocate and say, look, my wild horses don't have enough of the land. The cattle are getting the sweetheart deal.
That's to keep the people, the cattle and the wild horses are at conflict here, because the cattle getting the sweetheart deal. I'm a wild horse. I've been here first. My genetics my droppings are better, and my genetics, my teeth don't shear the land, and I prune the land, and which is a helpful thing, and I'm a wild horse, and the wild horses are not getting the fair shake, man.
In his classic text Propaganda, Bernays suggested that elites regiment the public mind every bit as much as an army regiments their bodies. Bernays considered mass mind control so crucial that it constituted, in his words, the very essence of the democratic process.
Edward Bernays, who was the father of propaganda and the father of public relations, was telling you that mass mind control is the way to control, because that's how democracy is, what democracy, or his version of democracy, is based on. Okay, and Edward Bernays was a very influential character back in the mid 1900s, 1950s, and with all kinds of. And before 1950s, and all kinds of ways to control and to manipulate the thoughts of the sheeple.
And to a large extent, they were annihilated, like the buffalo were. They were shipped east by the trainload and turned into baseball covers. They were ground up and turned into fertilizer and chicken feed until by the 1970s there was only a fraction left.
Right, these wild horses were shipped east and ground up into chicken feed. There you go. That's what happens when you're a wild horse, man.
No horse slaughterhouses are currently in operation in the United States. It is technically still legal to slaughter horses in the U.S. thanks to horse slaughter inspection funding being passed in 2011. And now it appears that the first operational horse slaughterhouse in America may be very close to opening its doors.
There we go. So we're getting close to opening up the first slaughterhouse in America. And even though technically it's not illegal to slaughter wild horses, dude, technically it's not. And then we just passed another law in 2011, which makes it even more legal to slaughter wild horses. So, you know, we're looking to slaughter some wild horses here.
A horse retirement home?
They've now removed so many horses and put them in these horse retirement homes that there are more wild horses in the retirement homes, 47,000 of them, than there are in the wild.
I might argue if you're in a retirement home, you're not a wild horse anymore, but keep going. This is twisted also. I mean, horse retirement homes, whatever. Again, that's and this is going to be a subliminal way to show you how that we have to start slaughtering or killing off the old guard or the old blood of these wild horses because they and we just made it legal to slaughter them. So we're in 2011, which is probably something to do with Obamacare, where they're going to have the death panels to decide whether you need to live or die. Because, you know, you're a wild horse. It's time for you to go to slaughter, buddy. And again, and if you want to go into that, you can go into like these futuristic movies like Soylent Green, where the guy goes, "I'm going home," which is a euphemism for killing off the elderly people. Again, we've legalized the slaughter of the wild horse, and they're going into retirement homes, and then they'll be slaughtered from there.
BLM, this is extremely expensive, and so the BLM wants to try and get rid of these horses. It just doesn't have a good way to do it. And so some people suggested to me in my research, it may be that the BLM is looking the other way and letting this buyer, Tom Davis, break the law, because in a way he's helping them out. He's putting relief on this overloaded system of horse storage.
Yes, he's bringing the overloaded system of horse storage, of wild horse storage, which is overloading these retirement homes for horses. We are the BLM, or the government is allowing this boogeyman named Tom Davis to take these horses, to sell. He buys the horses and then he slaughters them. Okay, unbeknownst supposedly to the BLM. So that's the plan, is to slaughter the people in the retirement homes, if you will, the wild horses in the retirement homes. Keep it going.
Subliminal.
Yeah, it's called subliminal suggestion.
Scully, are you familiar with subliminal messages?
You mean like sex and ice cubes and liquor ads?
Sex and ice cubes and liquor ads. That could be called subliminal. So here's a very interesting clip where Dinah Shore is singing right to your dang face about subliminal advertising. And here you go. It was in a commercial from the early age of television. Here we go.
Hey, have you heard about the crazy new way to send a message today? It flashed on a screen too quick to see, but still you get it subliminally. Ladies and gentlemen, the 59 Chevy.
It's flashed on a screen too fast to see, but still you get it subliminally. Hey, the 59 Chevy, man. Dinah Shore was very popular back in those days, and very pretty, and she was telling you, yeah, you know, we're subliminally messaging you right to your goddamn face, slave. There you go.
For some reason, and a reason that honestly I can't say, the BLM has just decided that it's okay to sell him hundreds and hundreds of horses and never check what he's doing with them. Now, there are people within the wild horse welfare world, people who love these horses, who have said, if someone's buying this many horses, BLM, there's only one thing he could be doing with them. Sending them to slaughter. And the BLM has responded, no, 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 we've checked this guy out. We have a long relationship with him, and he is above reproach.
Oh, yeah. So he just said, no, I'm not sending him to slaughter. Where'd you get that idea from? So that's the new boogeyman.
They needed a new boogeyman.
There you go, and keep the show going. So they're sending the wild horses to slaughter, and the BLM is turning their head the other way and not really, paying attention, but they did authorize the new, and they're going to start slaughterhouses in the United States, folks.
BLM says that roundups actually help the horses.
Roundups actually help the horses. You didn't know that? Just kind of like mercury helps vaccines.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics.
Really? And BLM's helping the horses?
BLM says that roundups actually help the horses.
Yep, and then Gates,
Key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
Right, so improving health reduces population. Roundups help horses. Mercury helps, kids in vaccines.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics.
Sort of Orwellian, wouldn't you say?
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
Really? So what's the opposite is true, and it seems to be in these cases, huh? That's called Orwellian, and that's exactly what you're being told. So the roundups help the horses.
BLM says that roundups actually help the horses.
Yeah, they sure do.
A lot of folks have said that instead of protecting the wild horses, that BLM is helping them disappear.
Get out of here. They are? Really? Okay, so now I'm going to go into a little section on helicopters, okay? Because what I've noticed is that in Brave New World and in 1984, the 2 futuristic movies about the totalitarian futures that we're going to have, the helicopters are always a symbol of the elite, of the rich power, of the power elite, okay, the power structure, okay, and the rich people, or in 1984, it's the thought police are flying in helicopters. In 1984, it's the alpha rich who use helicopters, and so helicopters, and so then you hear Carole King talking about wild horses, and you hear helicopters in the background. But there was uncanny how many different helicopter noises I was hearing in all these clips about wild horses. So stay tuned and listen to this.
There's a good chance many of these wild horses have never seen a helicopter. So naturally, they run right into BLM holding gates.
Still, at other roundups in 10 western states, horse advocates have documented brutality and death. A panicked stallion nearly rips off his leg. Wild horses zapped with electric shocks.
They're using cattle prods on America's wild horses.
Horses severely weakened after running for miles. And wild burros, too, chased and hit by a helicopter.
Hit by helicopters.
These were the final moments of freedom recently for some wild horses in Utah. Helicopters drove 257 of them out of the Swayze Mountains, chased families for miles, and finally captured them in a trap.
Helicopters catching wild horses in a trap. Interesting.
Can we go any lower? Strictly discouraged. Might lead to contact with the savages.
How can they live like this?
Maybe there's something to it. Living off the land, nothing given to you, a constant struggle for survival.
In Brave New World, he's like, can we go any lower? He's like, nope, you can't have contact with the savages. And because they're in the helicopter, that's the symbolism there. And then let's play that one again. You hear the helicopter? They're in a helicopter now.
Can we go any lower? Strictly discouraged. might lead to contact with the savages.
How can they live like this?
Maybe there's something to it. Living off the land, nothing given to you.
Nothing given to you. like it is like in the future where the government controls and gives you what you get.
Constant struggle for survival.
There you go. Yep, constant struggle for survival. And if you're not in the helicopter, you know.
I've seen horses kicked in the head. I've seen animals dragged by the neck with a rope. I've seen a helicopter hit horses.
Helicopters.
3 years ago, a helicopter chased this colt until he literally ran his hooves off and had to be put down.
Ran his hooves off 3 years ago, and I'm not sure where they got, so they still have the picture of him. He had to be put down 3 years ago, but they're going to show you so that's old footage of a horse that ran his hooves off and had to be put down in the BLM, by the BLM.
So you'd rather have a wild horse starve to death and be free than live in captivity and live longer?
Now you tell me what's more humane or less humane. To let them die at an old age in their homes with their families? Or to terrorize...
Let a horse die in his home with his family. Sounds kind of personified there, or embodiment of a person living at home with their families.
Them through these long drives with a helicopter, incarcerate them. If I were them, I vote to stay wild.
There you go. Let's play that one more time. Okay, again, twisted and definitely a subliminal suggestion, hypnotic suggestion, if you will, in that clip. Here we go.
So you'd rather have a wild horse starve to death and be free than live in captivity and live longer?
Now you tell me what's more humane or less humane. To let them die at an old age in their homes with their families? Or to terrorize them through these long drives with a helicopter, incarcerate them? If I were them, I vote to stay wild.
Sure would.
Helicopter roundups are the most often used method to remove horses from public land. There is bait trapping and water trapping, but it's not used to remove larger number of horses. Larger number of horses are pushed by helicopter down to a trap.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm not a horse expert, but that sounds ridiculous to me that they need helicopters to round up horses. Whatever happened to wranglers and dogs and things like that? They make it so the helicopters have this power over the wild horses. Keep that in mind. Let's go.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
Now they can see us.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back. Do not touch one another.
Surrounded.
The house is surrounded.
I suppose we may as well say goodbye.
You may as well say goodbye. While we're on the subject, here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
Right, the wild horses are people who are not conforming with the government's wishes are in 1984 being rounded up by helicopters. Interesting.
These were the final moments of freedom for some wild horses in Utah. Helicopters drove 257 of them out of the Swayze Mountains, chased Mustang families for miles through snow, and finally captured them in a trap.
That's how they do you.
Yvonne et Miage. They keep saying that. Let me play this backwards.
Join the Navy.
They're recruiting people with subliminal messages.
Yes, and that clip from Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons is, see, because this show, keep in mind that this show is all about how the stories are created and contrived by media companies who are in cahoots or working together hand in hand with sort of advertising specialists who are able to who have clever ways of manipulating your thoughts and subliminally and subconsciously suggesting different things to you, and when you'll come away with it, especially when you don't dissect it or deconstruct it, so to speak, like I do on the Deconstruction Zone, you're coming away with a thought manipulation out of these stories, and that's what these things are for. And keep that in mind. Okay, there are no wild horses. There is no wild horse issue. I haven't even looked into it really, but I'd be surprised there's any wild horses in America anyway. But if there are, they're being used to show you you're the embodiment of if you think you're free and you think you're a wild horse, you're the embodiment of a wild horse. Now what also I would argue is that we're already slaves, so I don't know if you think you're a wild horse, you're delusional anyway. But this is how you're being manipulated by the powers that be, because the powers that be need to manipulate the masses to maintain the power structure that they have in place already, because they don't want to give up their power. They want you to continue to be subservient and work as their slave and pay taxes to them like a fool. Okay, and that's what's going on here. Let's keep it going from there.
We showed some of the activist footage to the head of the BLM program, Joan Guilfoyle. In your view, are those horses being treated humanely?
There's some very heartbreaking pieces in there, absolutely. So, no, I would say that the incidents that we see there are not the way that we want animals to be handled.
Guilfoyle says those incidents are isolated and that less than 1% of the horses die during roundups. But critics complain many others die later of complications.
Oh, so they don't even die during roundups. Great.
Now, was that a kinder, gentler roundup?
I wouldn't say it was kinder, gentler. That's our typical roundup.
Not a kinder, gentler roundup. It's a typical roundup. They're rounding up wild horses, folks. Rounding you up. Okay. I hope that sounds familiar, because it's happened before.
Horses are to be given an opportunity to settle, and then be loaded and hauled off to a temporary holding facility.
Okay, that's interesting. Isn't that nice? You're giving them an opportunity to settle, and then you're hauled off to a temporary holding facility.
In 1942, the United States government forcibly relocated over 112,000 Japanese nationals and Japanese Americans to remote housing facilities called war relocation camps for the purpose of detainment, re-education, and forced labor.
Interesting. So, you've been forcibly. In other words, that's happened before. Okay, so we've rounded up. First was the Japanese, who were American citizens, and during World War II, FDR, our wonderful president during that time, thought that was a good idea, and now they're rounding up wild horses. Interesting.
And so, going forward, my administration will work with Congress to develop an appropriate legal regime.
Appropriate legal regime, okay, to do what?
You'll construct a legal regime to make indefinite detention legal. You will, what does he say? Develop an appropriate legal regime. So you can construct a whole new system outside the courts, even outside the military commissions, so that you can indefinitely imprison people without charges. And you'll build that system from scratch.
Okay, if Rachel Madcow was telling you that, then that's to instill fear into you. But that's basically what that's going on with that. Is that so Obama is saying, well, we have a new legal regime that we're constructing to make it legal to legally or indefinitely detain your slave wild horse ass. Okay, keep it going.
There may be a number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
Right, so wild horses are posing a threat to the security of the United States, so we need to construct a legal regime so we can, outside of all of the Constitution and of all law, previous law, so we can detain you indefinitely if we need to, even if we don't have the evidence to prosecute you. Like Obama just said, you know, he's like, hey, I know I don't have any evidence, but you're still dangerous to me.
Prevent it. We will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration. Indefinite detention without trial. That's what this is. That's what President Obama proposed today.
Okay, so Mad Cow is kind of hammering that home. So because if you are a coward and you are a cowering sheep, okay, you will that'll make you scared and that'll keep you in line. Okay, when you don't want to be put in preventative detention, man.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubinos. Take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours, 4 minutes. No, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna.
Okay, so that was Tom Cruise in a movie. I forgot the name of it already, but it's where he's the pre-crime unit of the District of Columbia. Interesting. Okay, let's do it again.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubinos. Take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours, 4 minutes. No, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna.
That's a condition. You condition the slaves into understanding that, yes, now you can be arrested for pre-crime. And you know what? You're gonna. I don't care if you didn't do anything yet. You're gonna. We got a feeling you're gonna do it, man. You're looking like a suspicious criminal to me. And I'm from the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division. Isn't that nice?
After the roundup, males, females, and babies are split up, eventually sent to separate holding facilities.
Okay, males, females, and babies are split up. Okay, and that sounds like concentration camps to me, or something of the like. Again, that's conditioning you. That's okay. That was talking about wild horses. Okay.
After the roundup, males, females, and babies are split up, eventually sent to separate holding facilities.
Really? So they're going to split your family up, males, females, and babies? Again, this is to instill fear, to say don't fuck with the government, okay, don't fuck with us, because we'll split up your family and put you in separate holding facilities if you think you're wild. Those are the wild horses that are doing that too, folks. So if that's the embodiment of your embodiment is a wild horse, they're going to round up your family and trap you, and then with helicopters, and then separate your children and the females and males and put them in separate holding facilities. Okay, again, that's to instill fear into you. So keep in line, or your wild horse ass is going to fucking holding facility.
As we know, horses have long, delicate intestines. And if you pollute the groundwater and horses drink it, the horse will colic and die.
Right, so pollution's in the water from all these, like uranium. There's just some uranium mining, I hear, and...
Okay, so that's a toast one where he says if we pollute the groundwater, there's pollute, and then the interviewer who's scripted, who's a total moron. Not that they're both not morons, but she's like, yeah, well, and that's obviously scripted. She's like, yeah, well, I heard, yeah, they're polluting the waters from the uranium mines, which has a link to nuclear power, which is going to make the tree hugging fake, or the wannabe, or the think they're environmentalist global warming people kind of link that into you. We're saying that the nuclear power is what is polluting the water, and that's what's killing the wild horses. Okay, so that's they'll colic and die because of nuclear energy. So that means if you're a wild horse, you should be against nuclear energy. You get that? Science. It's called science. If you believe that, you're a moron, but keep it going.
We have figured it out. Go back to bed, America. Your government has figured out how it all transpired. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again.
And what do you say to taxpayers who think this is a crazy use of their money?
Yeah. Again, that's just another way to manipulate you. Like, what? Of course, you would think it's a crazy use because it's nonsensical. Okay, but they're using your taxpayer money to round up wild horses.
All right, here's one. So a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Why the long face?"
That's hilarious.
Hey, fuck you.
Whoa! What the hell's your problem?
You're my problem, dude. That joke is offensive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sorry that not everyone conforms to your preconceived notions of attractiveness.
It's a joke, man.
Oh, yeah? Oh, it's a joke? How about this? Why are there so few black baseball players?
Why?
Because they're always stealing bases. Ha 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 ha! Whoa! Hey, now that is offensive.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Hey, it's a joke, man.
Yeah, but it's racist.
Oh, the horse with the long face just told a racist joke, huh?
Yeah, that's different.
Oh, yeah? How's it different?
Hey, why do you have so many drinks and you haven't touched any of them?
Hello, Einstein. Hooves. No fucking thumbs. Can't pick up a glass.
Well, then why are you in a bar?
Eat shit, that's why, dickhead.
Look, I think we all got off on the wrong foot here.
Yeah, well, you got that right.
We're sorry, okay?
All right, me too.
Look, I'm Mike, and this is Harry.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
All right, so that's a joke to try to divide people again, where one guy's saying racist things, the other guy's talking about the racial traits of a wild horse, or so to speak, and then at the end they just Sarah Jessica Parker, which is kind of funny, which is kind of helps you absorb or digest that all that conflict a little bit more easily, to leave it on a joke note, and that's what that's for. Clever and and kind of funny, I get a kick out of it. Like, well, it's clever. Let's leave it at that. Next.
Wild horses, we'll ride them someday.
Leon Russell's going to ride some horses someday. All right, and that's the original Stones. We'll ride them someday. We're going to ride those wild horses. They're not going to be wild anymore if you're riding them.
What's going on in Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay, so Roswell, New Mexico. Roswell, of course, is a famous conspiracy place of the alien things, so that's, of course, why they're using that. So, and now they're going to have this lady who's supposedly a wild horse advocate, okay, but she doesn't sound like she's American either, frankly, okay, and you can take that for whatever it's worth. I happen to be, frankly, I believe I am an expert on listening to people's dialect, and when it comes to English, and I can and I actually am quite good at telling other people's nationalities. Again, she's almost just sounded like there was a little twang of like a New Zealander type accent, but then again, it could be some sort of she could be German. She's got a very blonde-haired look to her, but whatever it is, she's. But listen to what she says. So she's gonna repeat the question.
What's going on in Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay, so she repeats the question.
Are you sexually attracted to young boys, to underage boys?
Am I sexually attracted to underage boys?
That was Jerry Sandusky. He repeats the question.
What's going on in Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell, New Mexico.
All right, she repeats the question.
Are you sexually attracted to young boys, to underage boys?
Am I sexually attracted to underage boys?
Interesting.
What's going on in Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay, and then there's Amy Goodman on Democracy Now! She has a thing for repeating the question as well.
That takes American horses, butchers them, and then ships them over to Europe to be sold as steaks.
Wild horse meat?
Steaks, wild horse meat.
They only cost him $10.
A live horse costs $10.
Repeating it again. She's like, yeah, so like, again?
To essentially put them up in a horse retirement home. This is really, really expensive. And listen to this.
A horse retirement home?
Then she almost slurred her words there, almost like she sounded like Diane Sawyer a little bit, like sounded a little bit drunk. A horse retirement home? Okay, and if you want to hear that one again, and you can hear the slur too. But again, then when and what I'm trying to do is show you when they repeat the question over and over again, or the statement,
essentially put them up in a horse retirement home. This is really, really expensive. And listen to this.
A horse retirement home?
A horse retirement home? And then, so, and you know, if you want to hear what Jon Stewart had to say about that.
Everyone knows the only time you repeat a question is when you're guilty.
Or lying. Repeat, when you repeat that like that, that's, you're lying or trying to, well, you're lying. Here you go.
Third time I've said that. I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
What's going on in Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell, New Mexico. Valley Meat Company is operated by a gentleman who already has 2 felony charges. He's being funded by foreigners. The governor of New Mexico does not want horse.
He's got felony charges. He's being funded by foreigners, whoever they are. Okay, and he's a meat slaughterhouse. Okay, in New Mexico, Roswell of all places.
Slaughter. The people of New Mexico do not want it, and yet somehow they're inching forward to getting this done.
Okay, so they're inching forward and getting a slaughterhouse in Roswell, New Mexico, and somehow they're getting it done. Interesting.
And my direct supervisor had a sticker on the back of his car that was very showed his prejudice toward the wild horses. And
okay, again, there's a guy who says America all the time, and he says showed his prejudice towards wild horses, which is, if he was prejudiced towards them, that would mean that he was he would actually be in their favor according to the English language or how grammar works. But so he kind of screwed that one up. But let's just listen to what he says anyway, because it's also twisted.
And my direct supervisor had a sticker on the back of his car that was very showed his prejudice toward the wild horses. And I said, well, this agency has really got some wrong-headed people here over the wild horses.
What'd the bumper sticker say? What'd the bumper sticker say?
Well, what it said was protect wildlife habitat, kill a wild horse today.
Yeah, that was a bumper sticker from his supervisor at wherever he twisted place that he worked, if you want to believe that. I don't, but keep going.
I feel their fear.
Feel their fear. You see, again, so now we're gonna be like, we're slaughtering wild horses. You should be very fearful.
Water resources are drying up, and the food that they need to eat is just not as available as it used to be.
No, it's not.
Power of mind control.
Tom Barocco is talking about mind control.
If the American people don't want it, if Americans do not eat horses, I mean, we don't eat, people say, well, what's the difference? I say, okay, go to Korea, go to China. They eat cats and dogs. It's not what we do in America, and we don't eat our horses.
No, okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of segment on eating wild horses, and it's interesting. And I wonder what you'll think about this. But so Korea and China, they eat cats and dogs. Again, that's to manipulate you into being like, so because if you're a wild horse and you're in the embodiment of a wild horse, and Korea and China eat dogs and cats, which is, again, so that's trying to get you, again, to divide you and to get you to having a conflict with Koreans and Chinese, because their economies will end up taking over. The American economy is going to go down into the crapper, and then they're going. And China has been designated as the model for the global government because of the way that they're a bunch of it's a slave labor state, but I think, frankly, that won't last for long, but. Koreans and Chinese eat cats and dogs, man, and your wild horse, they're going to eat your wild horse ass too. Because I want you to think that Asians eat wild horses, man.
Where is horse meat a delicacy?
You would be surprised. You can go to Japan and have horse sushi.
Horse sushi?
Absolutely.
Horse sushi, yes, and he repeats that one again too. Horse sushi, really, in Japan? I'd like to get a Japanese person chime in on that, though. I'm not aware of that, but that's all. Okay, so the Asians are going to eat your wild horse ass, okay? After you've been slaughtered, after you were sold from your retirement home. Get it?
Within Mexico is this big industry run mostly by European companies.
Okay, so Europeans are running butchers, wild horse slaughterhouses in Mexico, because you know what? Don't forget to hate the Mexicans too, man. Don't forget that we need to manipulate your thoughts into believing that the you want, because we need to divide you totally, divide you and then conquer you and to bring you into a our criminal, unelected world government. Okay, and we need to put and population control with the Rockefellers and Ted Turner and whatnot, which you heard throughout so many of my shows, including my last show. So keep it going. So the Europeans are running Mexican slaughterhouses in Mexico.
Within Mexico is this big industry run mostly by European companies that takes American horses, butchers them, and then ships them over to Europe to be sold as steaks.
Wild horse meat?
Yeah, real. Thank you, baby.
And basically, none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down.
We're all going to be cannibals eating wild horse meat, man. There you go. And wild horse meat is cannibalistic because you're the wild horse. You're the embodiment of freedom. You're the embodiment of, we're going to eat wild horses. We're going to eat the embodiment of freedom. Science! That's science, man. You can't argue with that.
Most of the people who buy horses from the government are buying one or two. They're adopted horses that they are going to use as companion animals. This guy was buying literally truckloads at a time.
Tom Davis.
Yeah, Tom Davis. Sometimes up to 240 horses at one purchase. And he accounted for 70% of their entire sale program.
How much is he purchasing them for?
They only cost him $10.
A live horse costs $10. How much does a horse weigh?
These horses might be anywhere between 700 and 1,400 pounds.
Okay, so Amy asks how much does a horse weigh because she's trying to do the numbers in your head for you so you can say, like, he's making a lot of money if he's selling that horse meat for food, and they're 700 pounds and only $10. That's to this guy. So not only is he slaughtering wild horses, but he's selling our meat too cheap. Or we're selling our meat too cheap to the slaughter guys who are bringing them to Mexico to slaughter, to feed to the Europeans and the Asians and for horse sushi. Okay, this is called absurdity, and this is called mind control. This is called manipulating your stupid thoughts, and again, because you don't really get it laid out like this, like I'm doing it for you will end up taking a different thought away from this. But that's what I'm trying. This is what this show is all about tonight, is trying to show you how your thoughts are being manipulated. Okay, let's keep it going.
They needed a new boogeyman.
Yeah, so the guy who's killing who's slaughtering the horse, he's the new boogeyman in this episode.
And basically, none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down.
Yeah, Ted Turner, we're gonna be cannibals, man, eating our own wild horses, man. That's the science. Science. And not only that, you're going to be turned into...
And in fact, the horses are also turned into other products. They're turned into hair weaves. They're turned into mattress pads.
Oh, no. We're going to turn your wild horse slave into mattress pads and hair weaves. That's just terrible. And you know what's even more terrible? The thought that there are women buying horse hair for hair weaves? I hope not. But I've heard that before, actually. But... that's a little bit twisted, but let's keep it going. Well, that's what wild horses. You see, we're using your wild horse parts for that.
Let them go to slaughterhouse. What value are they now?
What value are they now anyway? Let them go to the slaughterhouse, the wild horses. They're no value. That was guy supposedly a cattleman. He's like, yeah, you know what? They're no value anymore to us anyway, these wild horses.
A subliminal message.
Subliminal messaging.
Oh, what do you expect? Those bastards turned a whole generation of Americans into smokers with their damn subliminal advertising.
Yeah, that's the least of our problems. That's, even though that was a clip from Family Guy, that's the least of our problem, is turning us into smokers. They're turning you into cannibals, wild horse eating cannibals and sushi and slaughterers. Okay, That's what they're turning into, and turning into mind-controlled retards. Okay, sorry for the R word. That's what you're being turned into, because you're being manipulated with all this garbage, well, cleverly contrived garbage that you're watching on TV.
I think some people will never want us to do anything except leave them alone.
Yeah, some people are never going to be happy unless they get left. Yeah, God forbid we should leave them alone, though. No, they need to be manipulated through fear and slaughtered into horse sushi.
Over the course of the Obama administration, another 37,000 horses have been removed from the open range.
Okay, so the Obama administration is part and parcel of included in these removing wild horses from the range. Interesting.
But they have had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what the sale program is doing, because the BLM's been really secretive about it. They treat it like they're selling, chemical weapons, when in fact it's just, basically livestock.
Yeah, so the BLM is treating it like it's selling chemical weapons. That's another way to manipulate you, to get you to, oh no, what about chemical? Oh no, not chemical weapons. It's secretive. They're secretly slaughtering wild horses and selling them like they're chemical weapons.
Say anything they want, you see, and you'll follow them, because we are the docile masses. We're the puppet people. Oh, put it on our TV, it's true. Put it on our TV, it's true. We're the puppet people.
Yeah, chemical weapons. We're selling, they're secretly selling wild horses like chemical weapons. And if you put it on TV, tell them it on TV, you'll believe it.
We are working with some logical people now, but you've always got the old guard, and they...
All right, so just for the record, and not to say that Americans can't have, American citizen, or even can't have an accent or foreign accent. I'm sure many do. I know many do, but just keep in mind that the lady that's doing this interview does have a foreign accent, and she's possibly not American, or she's willing to misinform you or misdirect you. And she does have a foreign accent. But anyway, so now the old guard keeps showing up and moving, and America's moving forward, man. America's moving forward, man.
We are working with some logical people now, but you've always got the old guard, and they never stop showing up and trying to, mess with the waters and try to keep it in the old way. America's moved forward.
Right, and so in other words, we don't need any more of these old-time wild horses around anymore. America's moved forward, man. We're moving forward to bigger and better, brave new world, if you will. Yeah, we're moving forward, and Obama will tell you, we're moving forward tirelessly, man, tirelessly to achieve our new brave new world.
If we can resolve to work tirelessly in common effort, then we will achieve our common purpose.
Yep, our common purpose, which is the world government. I don't know about whose common purpose he's talking about, but because he's over there groveling to the Queen of England and calling her Your Majesty, but his common purpose, which is the common purpose of the world, the United Nations world government, tyrannical, unelected world government. That's his common purpose. That's his job as his job as he's been appointed by the global power structure, banking cabal, if you will, to bring this in, and that's his common purpose.
Mind control was a psychological warfare weapon that Adolf Hitler regarded as the answer for taking over the entire planet.
Okay, that was the volume was a little bit off on that one.
Mind control was a psychological warfare weapon that Adolf Hitler regarded as the answer for taking over the entire planet.
There you go. Mind control was Hitler, and a lot of the stuff has been, and the reason that I've been playing so many suggesting Nazi tie-ins and connections is because, frankly, that's where seemingly a lot of this psychological warfare stuff originated in the Nazi Germany time period, and now it's being applied continue to be implied and by our own government and the people who are running our government behind the scenes, who are the same people who are running the Nazis behind the scenes, and that's where the tie-in comes from there.
All right, lads, now that we're in the air, I can tell you our top secret objective. Osama bin Laden.
But, sir, they already got bin Laden in Pakistan.
Silly Smith, silly goose. That was just something we faked to make the president look good.
Okay, and if you didn't hear that one, that was on a cartoon TV show, American Dad, where he's their CIA agents. And he's like, no, we faked it, the Osama bin Laden thing. Now, they might be implying that Osama bin Laden hasn't been caught at all, and I will tell you that, no, the real truth is that Osama bin Laden never existed to begin with. But, again, this is all a suggestion within the media, within the TV shows that you're watching. It's all over the place, okay? Let's play it again.
All right, lads, now that we're in the air, I can tell you our top secret objective. Osama bin Laden.
But, sir, they already got bin Laden in Pakistan.
Silly Smith, silly goose. That was just something we faked to make the president look good.
There you go, and you know what? I'm coming down to the final stretch in this show, and it's a show about I'm trying to show you how the media cleverly manipulates your thoughts and plants thoughts into your head with other metaphoric connections like the wild horses and things as the like. And so it's not going to be told to you directly, but it will be subliminally or subconsciously planted into your putty brain because you're not paying attention. You're probably multitasking, using your iPhone. And listen, people, there's lots of reasons. There are lots of distractions. That's another way that the people, the social engineers who are trying to manipulate you are providing you with loads of distractions to keep you distracted, keep you busy while they take care of their business, okay? And like I said before, that's what's going on here. Let's keep it going.
So what I'm envisioning is a restoration of the herds, a true implementation of the act. The act says they shall be given the principal resources within their legal herd areas. I want to see the cattle and the sheep reduced, and where possible, totally, displaced, and just as they've been doing with the wild horses and burros.
Okay, so he says restoration because a lot of the people, like for instance, out in Texas, where the people were, or if you hear, they'll talk to you about the restoration of the government, of the Constitution, and so he's going to connect that to the restoration of the herd. And then he's going to say, well, we need to reduce the cattle again to divide you, to get you in a conflict with the mass. And he's going to also say that in the areas that they designate for you, frankly, which is kind of twisted, okay, because a wild horse it's supposed to have an area designated to them. But so that's, again, this is all manipulation of how to control your slave ass. Okay, and let's continue on.
Why risk disturbance to the social order? What purpose does it serve?
Right, you don't want to risk. You don't want to. Right. The power structure does not want you to risk disturbance to the social order. They want to keep that in place. Okay, and they use these propaganda and this mind control and this manipulation to do such. Okay. Again, coming down the backstretch of the show, keep it going.
Make it understood that what's appearing on the front page of the Washington Post, for example, really is a propaganda or public relations campaign that's coming from a particular faction of society who are paying for it.
Right. So there is a faction that's controlling it, frankly, and making it, and they're the ones who are propagandizing you, and they control the media, and they're paying for this to be done to you and to be presented to you. None of this is news where it's happened spontaneously. This is all contrived garbage to manipulate your thoughts. Okay, keep it going.
Oh, did you hear that cashier's accent? Would you like some change, please, for you? Oh, if it weren't for 9/11, those guys would be adorable.
There you go. Some more manipulation of your thoughts. Keep going.
Because most people don't go out to the public, our land that we pay tax dollars for. We don't go out to that land. Why would we go there? You know, I mean, what's there for us to go to, right? It's just what we pay tax dollars for. So why are you here in Malibu tonight, and what's going to happen tonight?
I mean, so she says with all the noise in the background, she says that, most people don't go out to the lands that they pay taxes for anyway. They don't know what's going on. You just pay their taxes. Most people don't know what's going on anyway. They just pay their taxes. And then she mentions that this whole wild horse meeting that they're or convention that they're having is is in Malibu, because just to show you that it's being backed by Hollywood, okay, for whatever that's worth, and keep it going from there.
It's important to have good horses for the kids. Horses are the tool that we use to raise kids to be good, responsible citizens, reliable adults, and that's our tool. Good Mustangs fit into that pattern really well for us because they're good, level-headed horses. They don't give us a lot of grief. They know what they're doing, and when we put them to work, they do their job. The kids learn what they have to do to take care of something else. They have to be responsible for something else. They have to have the leadership necessary to insist that their horse gets what it needs, and those are the things that make kids grow up to be good adults.
Right, horses make kids grow up to be good adults. I'm not sure. So the horse is like the parent in that regard, but so he's saying that if you control the wild horses, then you can help kids grow up to be good adults. Okay, which is another twisted embodiment of the person as the horse. Okay, and that's all. I don't know what that was supposed to mean, except if it's some sort of propaganda to manipulate you again.
You're a thought criminal.
Exactly, and that's what happens with thought criminals, man.
Propaganda loses its effectiveness if people understand what is going on.
Okay, that's the truth. Okay, you see, if you understand, and that's why I'm going to wrap up the show with these last couple of clips. You see, propaganda loses its effectiveness if you understand how you're being manipulated. Okay, and that's the point of this show today.
And congratulate you on living in the land of freedom. Here you go, America. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
Yeah, that's about the extent of your freedom these days.
People want simple solutions. What could be simpler? Leave them where they are.
Leave them where they are. And that's Carole King after she tells you that we need to birth control wild horses, but and then she's gonna say, yeah, but they need a simple solution. Yeah, people want simple everything because they don't want you have to use their brain for anything. That's what she means by that. And this is the last end of the show. Thanks for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. We discussed the wild horse metaphor, an inquiry into subliminal suggestion and subconscious manipulation. And I'm Max Ratt. Thanks for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'll give you a couple of clips and then I'll sign off to you.
Subliminal advertising complete.
Subliminal advertising complete. There you go. And here's a quick clip from 1984.
I hate purity. I hate goodness. I don't want virtue to exist anywhere. I want everyone corrupt.
Well, I ought to suit you then. I'm corrupt to the core.
There you go, and once again, welcome aboard. Thank you for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'm Max Ratt, live from the Rat Hole, New York City. This was a show on wild horse metaphor, and I hope you got the idea of what I was trying to get across in this show. Thanks for coming through, and I'll have another show for you shortly. I guess I'm going to discuss the maybe I'm going to take a look into these tornadoes out west in Oklahoma. I'm going to tell you that it looks to me, although I haven't really, because I've been working on this show, I haven't really taken a clear enough look or a close enough look into what really did happen over there. But I will guess that I'm going to come up with a to tell you that looks to me like there was you using some sort of another weather weapon that's that caused create damage, but I'd rather let me take a look into it and I'll get back to you. But it's very likely the next show will be about that. So thanks for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'm Max Ratt. Over and out.
If I don't come back, you tell Mother I love her.
Your mother's dead, Llewellyn.
Well, then I'll tell her myself.